you gotta do is hit him and then run. That's what I'm out of and run.
People kept asking me, are you coming back? When are you coming back? And I told them, I know when it's ready. I know when I'm ready to come back. And I knew one day that, I wake up and I decide to come back. And if it didn't happen, then...
Exactly, everything, like you said, everything. Yes. That's why I gave so many,
Okay, stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I'm about to tell you about Errol Spence Jr. is the kind of story that the boxing world allegedly does not want trending. And yet here we are, buckle up. Because 3 years, Errol Spence Jr. disappeared from the sport that made him a legend. And nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody in the inner circle was talking about why until now. Until training camp footage started leaking, until Terence Crawford, yes, that Terence Crawford, the same man who allegedly dismantled Spence's entire legacy in one brutal night, started publicly praising Spence's return like they are suddenly the best of friends, which fans online are saying is either the most wholesome redemption arc in boxing history or the most suspicious glow-up we have ever witnessed. And I am not saying which one it is. I am just saying the timing is fascinating. But wait. Before we even get to Crawford's involvement, we need to talk about the real story here, which is that Errol Spence Jr. did not just take a break. Reports suggest he waited deliberately, strategically, until something shifted inside him mentally, because he told reporters himself that he refused to force his return. He sat with it, he lived with it. He let the moment come to him, which sounds beautiful and zen, until you realize that the fight he is returning to is against Tim Tszyu. No tune-up, no easy warm-up opponent, straight into one of the most dangerous punchers in the super welterweight division. And this is where it gets interesting.
Just me waking up and deciding to come back. You get, reserved, thoughts about, question yourself, do you want to come back or do you? But, that day was more like, yeah, I want to come back. It was 100%. So, that's why I went with.
Why is training with Ronnie Shields?
It's great. I like it. I'm learning in the gym. It's 24/7. Like I'm just learning something. I feel like my brain is working too. Not only just going through the motions and just working on stuff that I've been working on for 10 years, 15 years. It's learning new stuff, and I feel like a kid again in school, just learning new tricks.
Because Tszyu himself, Tim Tszyu himself, came out and said, and I am paraphrasing here, but barely, that jumping straight into the fire line without a tune-up fight is risky. Those were allegedly his words, risky. Meaning even the opponent is raising an eyebrow at this comeback plan, and when the...
Tim Tszyu confidently suggests that facing him without a tune-up fight may be a difficult challenge for Spence, believing the timing could make the bout especially demanding.
Do you think Errol made a mistake by picking you in his comeback fight?
Yeah, it's definitely not recommended, you know, to go straight into the firing line. It would have been better to start off slowly, but, you know, on his caliber, he feels like he doesn't need tune-ups, which is fair enough. But yeah, it's going to be fireworks from the opening bell.
And across the ring from you is concerned about your preparation. You have to ask yourself what is really going on behind closed doors. Breaking update. Because just as we thought this was simply a comeback story, word from the boxing community is swirling that Spence quietly switched trainers, leaving behind the systems that built him into a unified champion. And
you can listen to me or not. I remember we had a chance to buy up the metropolis, the Dallas metropolis, when you was on top of the world. You said, call me. I called you. Nothing happened. But that's besides the point. I know you got a lot of money. I know you got your farm, your, what they call it? Probably got the zoo by now, right? But here's the reality of this thing. If you fight Tim Tszyu for $2 to $3 million, listen to what I'm saying. This is what Vegas is telling me. If you fight Tim Tszyu and have to go to Australia, you've destroyed your brand. Literally destroyed your brand. Why did you destroy your brand? Because they need to come to Dallas to fight you so you get all the money. Do you understand? You got to rebuild yourself. You don't go chasing dollars when you can spend the next 3 or 4 years building your brand.
To let boxing go. That's my opinion. I don't want to see him get in the ring and at a higher weight and it's been so long and the ring rust and the accident, the injury. I think he should stay on his ranch, enjoy what he has gotten, be a cowboy cattleman. And
landing in the corner of Ronnie Shields, which if you know boxing, you know Ronnie Shields is not a babysitter trainer. He is a tactical architect, the kind of trainer who rebuilds fighters from the ground up. And Spence is out here allegedly saying he feels like a student again, learning new tricks, feeling refreshed. And either that is the most genuine thing a former world champion has ever said, or it is the most perfectly crafted PR narrative we have seen since...
From the perspective of an individual, an athlete that has gone through so many trials and tribulations, I think at this point in time, it's not going to help him. If he wants to get a win and then call it a day, I could co-sign to that. But for him to think he's going to relaunch his career, especially at 54, I think that's not a good idea.
About in the Spence fight, from what I've seen from each of their last fights, Spence 3 years ago against Terence, and again, it's against Terence Crawford, he'll make you not look good. He'll make you not quite look like what you are. But I still think Tszyu is a little sharper punch for punch. The sharp punches he would put together off his combinations, they still look sharper than Errol. But the interesting thing is, Errol Spence, I think, is bigger than him. Even though he's never officially fought at 154, I think Errol's a bigger man than him once he gets up to 54. And the main problem for Tim Tszyu against Errol is going to be that jab. What does he do against that busy, constant jab
Errol
on Errol's side? Right? Yeah, Errol just keeping that jab in his face. I mean, when Bomac prepared for Terence, he said that's the #1 thing we got to take away from him. He fights off his jab. He gets confidence off his jab. He builds off his jab. He dominates you off the jab. So take the jab away, and we got the fight won.
Right.
Tim Tszyu is not Terence Crawford. So I don't.
Well, since Crawford smiled for cameras after their fight, and fans are absolutely losing their minds over this because the question nobody is asking out loud is, why does a man who dominated boxing for a decade need to feel like a student again? What exactly happened in those 3 years that required a complete psychological and tactical reset? And more importantly, WHO suggested the Ronnie Shields move, and why? Because here is the twist nobody saw coming.
By the time they do make that fight, and I still saw from Tszyu, he looks sharper to me. And he's been more active. Did
you say Robert Garcia said that?
Yeah, that he doesn't think that Errol's gonna have anything left.
Did he expound on what he meant by that?
Just he hasn't fought in 3 years. He didn't look good in that fight against Terence Crawford. Even when I go back and again, it's Terence Crawford, but he got off balance a lot. And Tszyu still has a good, solid foundation to his legs. When he punches, he doesn't get off balance with his shots.
Does the
Does the weight and the new trainer does that factor in at all?
For Errol?
Yeah.
With what is he with Ronnie Shields now?
Yeah,
Maybe.
And he's 54.
I think the weight's going to be good for him. I think he's going to be the bigger man. But
And he with a different trainer.
So what do you think, Rob?
I just think we don't have enough evidence to really,
go off of, right?
Yeah.
The same boxing analysts who are now praising Spence's mental clarity and refreshed energy are the exact same voices who, not long ago, were suggesting his career might be finished, that the punishment his body absorbed over years of elite-level warfare had taken a toll that no training camp could reverse.
It's Tim Tszyu. How you feeling about that?
I think it's a perfect matchup. Perfect matchup because both of them have been through their fair share of, wars and things like that. Errol Spence with the accidents, Errol Spence with the Bud Crawford fight. But I feel like he took enough time off where he could get healthy and get in his bag. You know what I mean? And I think before anything, the attitude matters. Your mindset matters. And the attitude and mindset that he's in right now, I love it. I love that mindset.
It's been almost 3 years, Jay.
Yeah.
As a trainer, as a fighter, what do you expect?
Honestly, I don't know what to expect as far as.
And one trainer, Andre Rosier, allegedly went on record saying Spence should seriously consider retirement due to ring rust, injuries, and the sheer physical accumulation of a decorated but brutal career, which, when you layer that on top of the Tszyu fight announcement with 0 tune-ups, starts to paint a picture that is either incredibly brave or allegedly a little reckless. And the internet, as the internet does, has split completely down the middle, half the boxing world, saying this is the Errol Spence resurrection story we have all been waiting for. And the other...
You're trying to pump gas, that's all. Errol Spence knows exactly what it is. He knows exactly. I'm just glad he took a little break afterwards. He needed the break.
Yeah. Now, he's not with Derrick James no more. He's with Ronnie Shields.
Yeah.
And as a trainer, what would you be trying to add? What would be your focus, your goal heading into that?
Same mentality, but I think I think we're gonna see Errol work behind his jab a little bit more with the movement. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna see Errol working, but more movement. Not movement like a boxer, but just he's still being a predator, but he's just making sure he moves side to side, or move his head, or take a step back with his hands up. Just to give you the space enough for you to do what you gotta do, but not do any damage to him. Then him enough space.
Perhaps saying this is a man walking into a situation that could go sideways fast. But hold on. Because just when you think you have the narrative figured out, Sean Porter, comes in on the Porter Way podcast and flips the entire conversation on its head by pointing to Spence's jab, specifically the jab, saying that if Spence comes in with that jab firing at full capacity, then Tim Tszyu has a serious problem on his hands. And Sean Porter knows a thing or two about Errol Spence's jab because he felt it personally. So when Porter speaks on this, you listen. And what Porter is allegedly implying.
3-year layoff. What's the thought process on that?
Coming back in Errol Spence form. Who else is coming back against someone who was just elite? We know that he's, Tszyu is taking his steps back, after the terror that he had in 23, 24, going into 2025. He was on a literal terror. But Errol Spence going overseas, going under the equator, the down under. Yeah. Hostile territory, and the list goes on. And as you heard what Errol said, I've done this as a pro, Sheffield, England. I did this as an amateur, Russia and Azerbaijan, a couple other countries, and my dad actually was in those countries with me.
Reading between the lines is that the physical tools are still there, that the jab does not disappear in 3 years. That muscle memory at the elite level does not just evaporate, which then forces you to reconsider everything, which forces you to ask, what if Spence's long absence was not a weakness? What if it was actually the strategy? What if stepping away from the punishment, the grind, the constant sparring, actually preserved him physically in ways that a tune-up fight never could have? And And this is where Greg Hackett and other boxing voices come in, because they are making exactly this argument, suggesting that the layoff may have physically reset Spence's body, that Ronnie Shields' fresh approach adds movement, adds defense.
Saying he might wake up one day and want to come back. I imagine that before this fight actually was made, he had woken up a lot of days and wanted to come back, and it just took some time for this thing to play out, right? But it's got his fingerprint on it, you know. His fingerprint being, like he said, I don't believe in ring rust, nor did I. He says, I don't believe in tune-up fights, nor did I. You know what I mean? Like, he's saying all the things that he's always said and done his entire career. So in 2025, after a three-year layoff, it'll be when they fight, and we know what that last fight was like, and the amount of embarrassment I'm sure he took, and the list kind of goes on from there in terms of the the criticisms and stuff like that. For him to come back now and it's this guy over there and all that kind of stuff.
Adds dimensions to Spence's game that were never fully unlocked under previous training regimens. And suddenly this whole story shifts again. Suddenly the comeback is not a desperation move. It is allegedly a calculated masterstroke dressed up as a leap of faith. But we are not done. We are absolutely not done. Because circling back to Crawford, because we always have to circle back to Crawford, the fact that Terence Crawford is in the same training environment, publicly endorsing, publicly praising Spence's camp sessions, is either the most genuine display of sportsmanship the boxing world has seen in decades, OR, and fans online are going absolutely wild with this theory. It is Crawford who subtly suggested the path forward, Crawford who perhaps pointed to...
Yeah.
Oh, tell me, what do you think about it?
A good fight. It ain't a tune-up, but it's, you know what I'm saying? It's a good little fight for him. Man been out 3 years. Tim Tszyu been active. Former world champion. He ain't going to get nobody we don't know. I can't do nothing but salute him, take my hat off for him, and see how he go to work. I think he going to be fine. He looked like he's in good shape. He ain't look all out of shape. He looked like, he looked good. He looked mentally all there. And, I mean, shit, them little 3 years, like I said, I told him as soon as it happened, I said, okay. He had other stuff going on, other stuff going on. That was a 5-year accumulation, a lot of stuff he did going through the rigmaroles with Bud, trying to figure out if they was gonna fight and building up his reputation.
Spence toward Ronnie Shields. Crawford, whose own tactical brilliance is somehow embedded in this comeback blueprint, which would make the Crawford versus Spence rematch conversation a conversation that is already bubbling underneath the surface of every boxing discussion right now. Infinitely more complicated and infinitely more intriguing. Because if Spence comes through Tszyu looking sharp, looking refreshed, looking like the 2023 version of himself never existed, then the rematch conversation becomes the only conversation in boxing, and suddenly Crawford's public support looks less like generosity and more like a man who wants the best possible version of his rival across the ring for maximum legacy. And now for the twist that changes everything.
It's a lot, so 3 years off, he come in contact with life too. He come in contact with life too. It ain't just about us and what we want to do and what we want to see. He got a life. He in there, so he did right, and I'm glad to see him come back.
Did you see there's like a viral clip of him, Tim Tszyu trying to shake his hand and he's like, nah, I'm not shaking your hand, I've been hearing you talking about you're gonna retire me and all that. Did you see the clip?
No, I didn't see that. When they was in the hallway?
Yeah.
Don't pull it up, Neil. It's good. They was in the hallway?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what Tim Tszyu supposed to say. So I don't understand why everybody getting upset by stuff they...
Because after everything, after the 3-year absence, the trainer switch, the Crawford alliance, the no tune-up gamble, the Tszyu warning, the Rosier retirement suggestion, the Porter jab analysis, the Shields tactical rebuild, there is one thing, one single detail that allegedly reframes this entire narrative, and it is this. Errol Spence Jr. chose to fight in Tim Tszyu's territory, in hostile conditions, without the comfort of home crowd energy, without the safety net of a tune-up, without the familiar corner he built his legacy with. And that decision, allegedly, was entirely his own, and What does it mean when a man who has been through what Spence has been through still chooses the hardest possible path back? Still walks into the fire line voluntarily, still refuses every soft option available to him? It means either this is the most fearless comeback in modern boxing history, or there is something Errol Spence Jr. knows about himself right now that the rest of the world has not caught up to yet. So the question I am leaving you with today, the question that is going to live in your head rent-free is this. What if Errol Spence Jr. did not come back to prove something to us? What if he came back because he already proved it to himself and we are just now finding out?